Hi, this is a follow-up to the first introduction video on spreadsheets where we made this little fake gradebook. And I don't know where yours is as you left off, if you formatted it to look prettier. But a lot of times when you're working in spreadsheets, you don't really worry about making the format look pretty and organized until you're nearly done with your work. Because a lot of times as you do your work, you end up messing up the format anyway. A final product really should be neat, organized, formatted well, so whoever ends up using it has an easy job navigating it. So I've purposely messed up the format of my fake gradebook that I had before. And I'm just going to show you a few things you can do with format. If I show you a few things, you can find the other 533 that are available to you. First of all, almost universally, people love things to be centered. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight the parts that I care about, and then using this icon, I can choose horizontal alignment, and that's enough to let you know that there's a bunch of different formatting things you can do right here. You're well aware of that. You could do bold, you could not do bold, you could put a nice classy background color. So I'm not telling you anything you wouldn't really know already. All that stuff is available to you. But let me show you some other nooks and crannies that you may not be aware of. The first thing I would say is over here, these are percent grades. And sometimes there's an icon up here for percent, like there is right here. So I could hit percent, that's nice. I could change the decimals. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo. By the way, you know you have these undo buttons over here when you make a mistake. And I'm going to show you where the formatting options are if you don't see an icon available. And so what you do anytime you want to format, you highlight the cells that you want to format. I always say highlight the cells you care about, and go up to Format. And now from here you have all sorts of stuff available to you. So under number, I could turn these values into accounting values. Under number, I could turn these into, let's see, dates. That's not going to look good. Well, there you go. So there's a lot of options there. You just choose the ones that work for you. I'm going to go with percent in this case. That was an icon, but I can choose it there. And these decimal doohickeys I told you about. There's more things that you can do. As I look at this, I know one thing that really helps people is borders. And you see all these little grid lines. Those won't really show up, or they won't show up very clearly when you go ahead and print. And in fact, I would recommend that you disable that when you do print. But if you want to show something very organized with borders, you could put a border around the whole outside. But better yet, I need to highlight the whole thing. Better yet, you could do that, and just automatically that ends up being more organized for people. So just know that you have a whole bunch of icons over here. Ones that you're not even familiar with. For example, here you can slant your text. Very nice. Doesn't look very good. So know that there's a bunch of formatting options. I'm going to show you a few other areas you can think about. Let's say I forgot about a cat between Harlan and Abby. So I would go, because remember, those are the names of the 4 cats I've owned in my life. I would click on Abby's row and then insert row above or row below. If I do row above, boom, got it. You could also insert a column left or right, or you could do a bunch of columns. 3 columns to the left. There's also other things you can do in here. Like, let's say I didn't want to always have to scan all the way to the right to see someone's grade, because maybe after 30 assignments, that grade is way over there off your screen. You can either do this. I highlight and I can cut Command X and go over there, Command V. Now I've cut and paste. There's probably some icons for cut and paste. Let's see. I don't know. There we go. Under Edit, Cut, Copy, Paste. But now watch this. Once I've done that, if I change Gorman's grade from a 28 to a 38, when I hit Enter, we should see his final grade change. So even though I've moved the readout around, it still is connected, and it still will do all those calculations. So we could really put this anywhere we want. I'm going to go ahead and put it back over here. But let me show you something crazy you could do. Down here at the bottom are different sheets. We're working in fake gradebook. I don't know what I had for sheet 3. I'm going to say I don't want this anymore. And so I can delete this sheet. Oh, sure, I want to delete that. All right. But I can also add new sheets. So if I did, well, I'm going to have to find that. I'm not sure where that is. Oh, down here, this little plus. Oh, I think the software might be getting in the way. Okay, that said add sheet, add sheet, add sheet. So I'm adding more sheets. My fake gradebook is still there. I'm going to go to sheet 4, and I'm going to say rename, and I'll call this public gradebook. Okay, now here's why I'm showing you this. Let's say I wanted to print this gradebook, but I didn't want the names attached. So what I could do is I could call Gorman person 1. I could call Harlan person 2. Check this out. If I wanted to have Abby be person 3, I could say equals Harlan plus 1. And now I could take that formula, click, hold, and drag. I can go down. I can get 13 cats. I better tell my wife about that. She would vehemently disagree. By the way, I don't want 13 cats, but I would like another. I'm going to highlight those and delete them. But now, over here in Public Gradebook, it looks like it's blank, but check this out. If I just hit equals, and now I go over to Fake Gradebook. Remember, let me back up. Equals tells Excel we're about to do some sort of calculation or some sort of logical move. Equals is what you're going to do anytime you're doing anything except maybe just typing data or names into a cell or words into a cell. So I say equals. I go over to Fake Gradebook, and I click on A4. I hit Enter, and that shows up. The contents of cell A4 in the other sheet show up there. I'll prove it to you. Watch this. Let's turn Gorman into 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I go over to Public Gradebook. It says 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's show you something crazier. If I go to the lower right-hand corner, click, hold, and drag, now it's showing me what was in the other gradebook. If I highlight that whole mess, go to the lower right-hand corner, click, hold, and drag, now their name shows up. But remember, I wanted this to be a public gradebook, so I'm going to delete all those. Come on. But now what I can do is I can say equals, go over to Fake Gradebook, take the grade and hit Enter. I clicked on that grade cell. By the way, here I see 63.8, but if I look up at the formula bar, I see where we are referring to. Click, hold, and drag. And now this is connected. As long as Gorman knows he's student number 45678, he can see his grade, and I can print this publicly. And by the way, for his efforts, because Gorman was a heck of a cat, I'm going to give him an 80 on that. Oops, that was wrong. There was a formula in there. I can't type over that. I'll give him a 60 on that quiz. His grade just went to 91%. You see that right there, updated because I had a formula. And over here, it also updated. So there's some really neat linking things you can do, and it can get very complex. So we're approaching the end of this introduction, you should be familiar with how Excel can do some math calculations for you. You should be familiar with the two most famous mistakes in Excel, which is typing numbers when you should be typing a formula, because then Excel won't update when you change your data, and using the $sign, in this case $F, $2, to make one part of a formula stick as you drag it, while allowing another part of a formula to update as you drag it. And then also you should know where lots of different formatting options are, and if the formatting option isn't available as an icon, it would be available up here. And you should know that you can link cells within different sheets. The last thing I would want to say is one thing Excel is not good at, or spreadsheets are not good at, is sometimes they don't format very easily. When we start working on our projects, you'll be trying to make them look pretty and presentable to the eyes, and a lot of times that just has a hard time getting done. For example, let's say I need to say abracadabra was here today. Okay, so that looks good until I start saying, hey, that spilled over into the other cell, but I wanted to put a 7 in that other cell. Well, gosh darn it, now the rest of this cell is not visible, even though if I go up to the formula bar, I see it. So you're going to end up having to work your way around that. Some things you can do are, look, as I grab the border between C and D, I can widen it, I can shrink it. If I want to do that to a bunch of cells, if I highlight all 4 columns and I do that to 1, it doesn't to all. Sometimes you might have to do something like format, wrap that text. Abracadabra was here, so that's not so good. But sometimes what you might do is you might say abracadabra was here. You might sometimes write in 3 cells. Now that looks like it's pretty awkward, but remember that when you print, you're not going to see these little grid lines beneath. My point is this: spreadsheets are a little finicky when you want to make your final product look really pretty and organized. So you're just going to have to be inventive, and with the tools that you have, do what you can to make it user-friendly. But it really does matter. Making it user-friendly makes it a lot bit easier for the user to use, but it also, for some weird reason, makes you look smarter if you've ended up making a beautiful spreadsheet. I think that's the show. You have enough information in your head that you can now start working in Excel, and when you plant, say, 1 ounce of information in your brain, once you start working, your brain finds about 17 pounds of other knowledge within the spreadsheets. So soon you'll be embarking on your first couple of projects. Have a good one.